Welcome to iDAS video channel. In this video, I will show you what's new in iDAS 2026, but I will only cover enhancement and improvements in iDAS Pipe Manager, also called Manage and Analyze. If you are interested in new tools or improvements on existing tools, you should rather watch the other video where I cover that. And in this video, I'm not covering everything related to Pipe Manager because there was a lot of updates. So I'm only concentrating on the most important stuff. But if you want to know everything, you can always go to our website, which is www.devotechgroup.com. Then you can get to product info, iDAS, what's new. And once we release a new iDAS, it will be available here. And then will be a what's new file where we described all the improvements in Pipe Manager, as well as for the commands, enhancements, and all that. Let me start with the enhancements for stormwater and sewer networks. Here, what I have a sewer network, but this sewer network flows into the tank. Then I have a pump and I can have a sewer rising main. The same applies to stormwater. I can also pump stormwater network inside Pipe Manager without needing to use water network or anything like that. So you can run the analysis with one network, so there's no need to split it for the rising main and for the gravity part. So let me go to Pipe Manager. If you prefer extended ribbon, then you can go to iDAS Network and Edit and Manage and Analyze. Those two commands do the same, but Manage and Analyze might be a little bit more intuitive name. If you go to Conduits, Pipes, you will see that now there's a new option, Darcy-Weisbach roughness height for force main. So as soon as there is a value bigger than 0, those pipes are recognized as a force main pipes, and they are analyzed like that. Those are the pipes coming out from the tank into the outfall. Let me run the analysis and I will show you in an input file what it looks like. Complete it. I go to Report, Input file, and I will scroll down a bit, and then you will see under conduits that these pipes are recognized as a rising main or force main. Here they are, and you can see the roughness. We also improved graphs. Under the graphs, you can display the storage node or storage unit depth, for example. If you want to display that, you can see it goes up and down, because under the structures, pumps, you can specify the startup depth and shut-off depth. And it goes like that in a circle. So that's why if I go to graphs, you see this result. You can also use storage units for sewer and stormwater. You can have orifices, weirs, and they will also appear in this list. So you can display various properties for those structures. While talking about the ponds, what we did as well, we developed new structure types. Let me close Pipe Manager for now. And in a new templates for various regions, South African region and New Zealand region, if you go to Tool Space, Settings, Pipe Networks, Part Lists, there is a, for example, stormwater part list, and you will find out new structures available there. If I scroll down, this is for South African region, but there's a storage tank, circular, horizontal manhole, circular, vertical flange manhole, rectangular, there's a pump. So you have all these structure types to be able to run the analysis with tanks or with the ponds as well. You can use the surface ponds as well. And that's for sewer and stormwater. Just for interest sake, if you want to see those structures, what they look like, I will quickly display them here. So let me go to Pipes, create pipe network by layout, and then I will use stormwater part list, final surface, OK. And then I will create those structures. So let me select the storage tank, circular, horizontal with manhole. I will use structure only. Then I will locate it here. Here it is. I will show you in 3D view what it looks like. Then I will select the other one. By accident, I used 50,000 millimeters. It was supposed to be 5,000 millimeters. So it's very big, but it's not a problem. And then I'll show you another one. Now you may ask, okay, but there's only one size. You can import as many sizes as you wish as per your project. This is just an example. So let me show you how it looks in a 3D view, and then I will show you how you can import other sizes. So if I go to Object Viewer, let me go there. I will move this a little bit up so you can see the command, Object Viewer, and then I will make it a little bit smaller. So this is that tank. You can specify the offset, you can specify this distance as well, so how much you want to round it. Then let me go to this one. This one is very big. Let me go to Object Viewer. Again, it hides on the outside of the screen. And then there is a manhole here, very small manhole. Again, as I said, by accident, I made it very big, but you can use any size as you wish. And this is very simple rectangular structure without any manholes. So there's nothing special about this structure. And as I said, if you want to import another sizes, you can always go to the catalog. And then for any size, you can just come in here and you can right click and you can go to add part size. And then you can specify wall thickness, frame diameter, which is the manhole diameter. This is term in Civil 3D. Inner structure length, that's the length of the structure. This is width of the structure as well as diameter of the structure. End cap length, that's that little piece that goes outside of the structure. And then there is a manhole offset. You can move it left or right depending how you rotate the structure. And you can specify the value which moves it away from the center. So when it comes to sizes, there's a lot of sizes available. You can see long list up to 60,000 in this case, 60 meters. So there's enough sizes. So these are new structures for tanks. And as I said, you can also use a surface ponds to analyze in iDAS for stormwater and sewer networks. And you can also use pumps. Let me go back to iDAS Pipe Manager or Manage and Analyze. And let me run the analysis again, because I want to show you that we upgraded the analytical engine. If I go to Report, Analysis Report, you can see that now we are using version 5.2.4. And this allows a new settings. If you go to Dynamic Wave, there's an option to specify the surcharge method. There are two options, Xtran and slot. Now, what it means, in some cases, when your pipes are surcharged, the Xtran method can give you not ideal result when it comes to hydraulic grade line. And if you change that method to slot, it might give you better results. So keep that in mind if you analyze the pipe network that has a surcharge conduit and the hydraulic grade line doesn't make sense. These settings might help to solve those issues. Regarding the hydraulic and energy grade lines, we also did some improvements when it comes to calculations. If I drag over, this is iDAS What's New document. And if you scroll to the page, I think 19, here we have an example where we improved the hydraulic grade line calculation. Originally, for some of the routing methods, the structure hydraulic grade line is used. And in those cases where you have such a big drop, the hydraulic grade line might not look right. So in those situations, we decided that we will rather use a pipe hydraulic grade line, and then we will continue with a structure hydraulic grade line. So it looks a little bit better. So, and there were some more improvements, but this is the most significant one. If you go to conduits, you can find out that there's an option to define flap gate. So if you want to define it, you can do it here. If you go to culverts, we added some new properties such as start invert, end invert, slope in percentage or slope ratio. If you have culverts, you can export the entire grid to Excel and you should have all the important information for the culverts schedule. We also added description column to conduits. So if you use description, then the description will appear here. We also worked on a grading tools. If I come in here, let me select different end structure, maybe this one. Let me zoom in closer. This is an end structure. Under the profiles, we have a grading tools. We did some improvements and we simplified this functionality, and we also made those other settings easier to understand. Let me take that off for now. And originally, you had to either use keyboard shortcut with the numerical keypads such as Control 1, Control 3, Control 9 and so on, or Alt 1, Alt 7 and so on, depending on whether you wanted to move the paths up or down or whether you want to grade them. But we simplified it, so in this case, doesn't matter whether you use a Control keyboard or Alt keyboard, both work the same. And depending on how many paths you selected, it will either move the paths or it will grade the path. And also it depends which keyboard shortcut you use, but it should be much easier because you don't need to think about, should I use a Control, should I use a Alt? No, it's very simple. Let me show you. So I will select this path and the following path, and then I can use a Control 3 to move it down, Control 1, start, Control 9, up, Control 7, down. So you can imagine the path on your numerical keypad if you have a standard one, not at the top of the keyboard, and then you can move it up or down. But if I use a 2 or 8, both paths will move up and down. And if I select only one pipe, then I can do basically the same. I'm using the same commands, as you can see, and it does basically the same. So it's very logical and very easy to use. And those additional commands are also quite simple. For example, if I want no drop over first structure, if I tick that on and if I select those two pipes, and if I start grading, the first structure will move. Let me show you. You can see it was moved as well. The end structure doesn't match. As soon as I tick that option as well, the end structure will also match, as you can see. So now everything is linked together. So those commands will override the default settings and they will allow to move unselected paths. If those options are not ticked on, only selected paths will move. And there is even another option, keep drops over intermediate structure. Let me show you how that works. I will move this path a little bit down, maybe like that. And I want this path also to be moved down, maybe like that. And this start. So this looks good, but I want to grade these paths. I want to keep the drop. So let me select it. I will select those paths. And now I can move it up or down and it will keep the drop between them, as you can see. The drop stays the same. As soon as I tick that off, the drop value that is defined here will be applied, which is 0. Now you see, it doesn't keep the drop. It uses the drop that is defined here. So this should be a little bit more logical and easier to use for the users. And there's one more command which I would like to show you, that if I move this path down, and let's say I want to match this path to that path, I have two options. If I press Control 4, it moves the red path up because the checkbox is not selected. So let me move it down again. However, if I tick this checkbox and I press Control 4, the black path comes down to selected path. So this one allows to move non-selected paths. That's very important. Let me just do minor adjustments. So I have a network that actually works, maybe something like that. So these are grading tools improvements, and once you get used to it, it's very simple. You can also go to iDAS help file where you will find those keyboard shortcuts, but as I said, you can basically imagine the pipe on a numerical keypad, and then you move the start up or down, or end up or down, or center of the pipe up or down. Let me close the pipe manager. And let me show you another part that we developed in Part Builder. For the utilities, we developed grouped pipes. Let me show you what they look like. So if I go to Pipes, Create Pipe Network by Layout, I will create Utilities Network. I will call it Util. Then I will use a surface, Final Surface. OK. You will find new conduits there. Let me go to this drop down and I will scroll down. You can see there are grouped conduits, circular 2x2, 3x1, 4x1 and 3 conduits in a triangle shape. Let me show you all of them. Again, we only imported one size. You can import more sizes as per your project needs. And then I will draw pipe only. Let me do it here. Then I will do the other one and I will come back to plan to display it nicely. Other one. Then I want to use 4x1. And finally, I will use 3 conduits in triangle shape. In plan, it looks like a simple line. If you want, you can go to Edit Pipe Style, and then you can define to display solid in plan. Then it shows more. And if I go to 3D view, I go to Object Viewer, you will see those conduits. So these are 4 pipes, 2 by 2. These are 3 pipes, 3 by 1, 4 by 1, and 3 pipes in triangular shape. And let's see what they look like in a long section. In the new iDAS, we have a command clean up, which is available in all the iDAS as well, but this command offers much more. And I want for this profile view, sorry, let me select this profile view. You can select all the profile views if you want to. I want to add the network, and this is called utilities. Okay, utilities network. And as a crossing pipes, I want utilities mixed services section style for long section. If you don't have this style available, you can create one. Then I click OK, and here they are. And you can see what they look like in a cross section. So these are those profiles. So again, if you have those pipe groups for utilities, you don't need to model them each by one. You can model them, all of them at once. And let me move to improvements for water and bulk water pipelines. In this case, I have a source of water, I have a pump, I have a tank, and that feeds the development. Let me go to Pipe Manager, or if you prefer extended ribbon, you can go to Manage and Analyze. Let me run Bill of Materials. I will specify the depth group, and the new quantities which are available here are fittings, where it lists the pipes, the diameters, the structures that have those pipes, the fitting that fits there, and the quantity. And if you export your bill of materials, you will have those details for your report. Let me go to Structures, Pumps, and under the pump, you can either specify to use pump curve, and if you set your pump curve to none, it will use power. As you can see here, set to none to use power. So you can do that. Let me run the analysis. I will run Analyze. OK. And if I go to Results, let's say I can go to Conduits, Results. Here you can choose that you want to display maximum values or minimum values. Maximum or minimum, or the values for a specific time step. And of course, if you display the values, you can always go to Graphs, and then you can display values. Let's say I want to see the tank, I want to add demand and pressure. So I have those graphs here, for example. This is not new, this was always there. But what if you want those graphs to have in Excel? You can export results. First, you need to run the analysis, and then you can export results. And let me save it. I will call it results. Let me open it. And you have a results here for all the conduits and for all the structures for each time step. And if you wish to, you can use it to create graphs here. So if you go to Filters, you can say, I only want to see tanks. Let me go there. Tank. OK. Here are the results for tanks. And let's say I want to display the elapsed time. And then I want, let's say, the pressure. So let me select pressure. Then I go to Insert, Graph, Scattered, OK. And here I have graph in Excel. Let me drag it away. And let me close this drawing. Yes. And I go to another drawing, Surface Channels. There were also some improvements. Let me open Manage and Analyze or Pipe Manager. I go to Surface Channels. And under the Surface Channels, you can see that we added alignment length. So again, if you want to export this for report, or you want to know what's the length, you can get it directly here. And then there's another improvement. Let me run the analysis. I will go to Profiles and I will analyze the surface channel. OK, and it displays me the profiles. And the blue profile is a max node water elevation, max node water profile. So what I want to create this profile. So you can choose to update existing profile or you can create a new profile. So I go to max node water profile. Okay, it shows you here that max node water profile is linked to max node water. So you know which profiles are linked to what. And let me update, and update. That profile appears in a profile view. Then I will just draw the polar line on top of this profile. That's enough, just there, to see if there are any changes if I run analysis with the different values. Let me go back to Pipe Manager or Manage and Analyze. I go to Surface Channels. Then under the channel, I will specify the inflow, direct inflow. Let me make it bigger. I will use, let's say, 1 cubic meter. Then I will run the analysis. I will display profile to see the changes. So after the analysis, you can see the profile changed, the water level raised as well. And if you look at here, it is still linked to this profile. So I can simply update, and that updates the profile. So I didn't need to do anything else. So it gave me updated profile. So this is how you can easily update the profiles from the surface channel analysis. And this is briefly about the Pipe Manager improvements. As I said, there's a lot more little changes and updates, but these are the most important changes. And we are very happy that you can now run sewer rising main analysis, tank analysis, surface pond analysis, and you can display all the results directly in iDAS as well as graphs. So it is much easier to optimize your pipe networks.